Greetings, dear listeners. Tonight, you are going to listen to me read some Crappypasta of the most loathsome category. Hopefully, we will all have some fun. Tonight's story is Death is a Funny Thing by Seth Stepanuk. Let us begin. One day, a boy named Charlie Wackaweed was making a wish on a star. He did not know that the wish he would be making would change his life forever. It was late one night, when Charlie was looking at the stars. He had heard that if you wish on the first star you see, your wish will come true. So he spotted the first star that he saw, and he made a wish on it. His wish was that whatever he said or did, for it to come true. So for instance, if he would say, "Let it snow," it would snow. Just a few days later, he was sitting in geometry class, wondering about the test they would have in about 5 minutes. When he got the test, he sat there wishing that he would ace the test. He took the test that was supposed to be very hard, and he thought it was very easy. He got it back and it was an A+. He was amazed, because he had never had a test and aced it before, and this test was probably the hardest one that he had ever taken. He asked all of his classmates what they had gotten on their test, and they all replied a C+ or lower. Charlie was very excited that he had gotten a better grade than Chris, who was an A+ student, and Chris had made a C-. There was this one kid that Charlie did not like. He wished that something bad would happen to him. The very next day, he was out of school. Charlie asked his teacher where he was. He said he is in the hospital with a very deadly disease. It came on him so fast and none of the doctors have a cure. It is really weird. I have never seen anything like it. The very next day, Charlie heard that the kid with the deadly disease had died. Charlie was upset about the whole situation. He knew it was his fault that he had died, so he went to his funeral with sorrow and regret. He was at home, alone. Late one night, all of a sudden the phone rang. He ran down the steps to answer it, thinking that it might be his parents. He picked up the phone and he heard the dial tone. He thought to himself, "That's weird," and then he went back up to his room, thinking no more about it. This happened several more times, and he still ignored it. Then all of a sudden the doorbell rang. He went down to answer it again, thinking that it might be his best friend Jared. He opened the door and said, "Hey, Jared, what's—" But then he noticed that no one was there. He thought to himself, it must be those little kids that live down the street prank calling and ringing the doorbell and running. So then he went back up the stairs to his room, thinking no more of it. Then there was a peck on the window. He was really starting to get kind of scared and curious. He went to the window, opened it, and yelled, "Get out of here, you little kids!" But still he saw no one. Since it was starting to get really freaky, he decided to go and watch some TV. He flipped on the TV, and right then the power cut out. He knew that the kids couldn't have done something like that because he didn't have a fuse box. Oh no, he now realized that the kids couldn't have done any of the other things now, and he was starting to get really scared. He went and got a flashlight, and he saw red eyes across the room, and was coming very fast towards him. He all of a sudden heard a low, creepy but familiar voice calling,
"Charlie, Charlie, Charlie, how could you do something like this to me?"
Charlie replied, "Who are you? What do you want from me? I have no clue what you're talking about." The voice replied,
"You do know what I'm talking about, Charlie Wackaweed."
All of a sudden it jumped out from behind the shadows, and Charlie saw a beaten, flesh-removed kid that Charlie recognized as the kid that he had wished that something bad would happen to. His eyes were blood red, and the flesh that he had left was purple and blue. Charlie was scared to death. He told the kid that he had never meant for him to be killed or even hurt, but he didn't believe him. The kid replied,
"Now it is your turn to follow the pain and death that I had suffered through."
Then the kid took Charlie out of the house and tied him up to a tree. The kid then dug a huge hole and then untied Charlie. The ghost said to him,
"I'm sorry that it has to end this way, Charlie, but this is what you have to repay me by doing. Goodbye, Charlie."
Then the kid threw Charlie in the hole and buried him alive. No one really knew what had happened to Charlie Wackerweed until one day a clipping all of a sudden appeared in the newspaper telling what had happened and who had actually killed the kid that Charlie didn't like. I am telling you now, be careful what you wish for,
because it might just come true.
but don't worry, this isn't really a true story.
Or maybe it